More volatility ahead for Bitcoin and the broader market. Good morning, guys, or good day, depending on where you are in the world. It's Keith Allen, and as you can see, Bitcoin price action appreciating when grinding through the mid 50s here after a serious pullback after the weekly close. You know, global markets took a huge hit after the weekly close. We all know that. Bitcoin dropped down to sub 50K levels briefly before the rebound. That sell-off triggered, we now know by a massive carry trade unwinding in Japan, and fears were amplified across global markets. Lots of bell ringing and screaming for the FOMC to have an emergency meeting and make an emergency rate cut. Fortunately, calmer heads prevailed, and that didn't happen. I think that would really probably have triggered more panic and fear and a deeper sell-off. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have cut already, but I'm no economist, so I'll leave that to those who are more qualified to talk about that. But I do think that having an emergency meeting really sends a message that there's deep concern about a hard landing and a rough recession. That may happen, but Powell has been pretty methodical throughout this entire process. So let's see if a slow and steady hand. We know it was too slow in the beginning. Let's see how things play out here towards the end. So for me, my main focus today and what I'm looking at, obviously always have eyes on order book liquidity and the order flow. So we're going to take a look at that. But the CME Gap coming into focus, and normally when we're talking about the CME Gap, it's about price moving down to fill that gap. Well, now price actually moved down below the gap since the weekend, and that gap can only get filled during TradFi hours. So we are now literally positioned, literally knocking on the door of the CME Gap just about an hour, less than an hour before TradFi opens. So let's take a look at the charts, see what is developing here, and see what we might expect for the day. So I'll start here on the CME chart. As you can see, we have this gap. It really extends, as I understand it, and I'm not a gap trader, by the way, but as I understand it, the gap extends from the close of that prior candle, which was at 57,580, up to where the gap ends at the next candle, which is on my chart 60,845. So we basically need to see price move past. And this is CME futures, by the way. This isn't spot price. This is CME futures. We need to see this move past 68.45, basically, 61K. And in terms of, and you can see we are literally like right on it right now, waiting for the market to open. So Bitcoin is in position. The problem is, there's decent liquidity, not a huge amount, but there is some ask liquidity, up here. Nothing that's insurmountable, in my opinion. But we don't see any like big concentrations down here below it that are giving me a lot of confidence in just a rapid rise. I think it's going to be a bit of a grind. Who knows? We'll have to watch things develop. And of course, and at the same time, we do have the ETF market will be opening. And as we can see, that ETF market has been kind of outflowy the past few days. Notably, BlackRock has been flat. There was some talk on Monday that like $2.5 billion in Bitcoin ETF flows had happened early in the morning. By 10:45 a.m., there were $2.5 billion. I've seen that from reliable sources, but what I don't understand is why aren't we seeing it here? Why is that not reflected here? I mean, there's less than 200 million reflected here at this point. So I'm trying to get some bearing on that. Maybe I'm missing something. But in terms of the ETH ETF, surprisingly, there was a little bit more positivity the past few days, some money rotating out of Bitcoin into ETH, which has been at a deep discount here the past few days. So those are the things that we're, kind of feeding the narrative here in terms of price action here on the Bitcoin chart, and some of the technical things that we can look at. We can see that trend precognition has been showing us back to back up signals here for the past few days, really since that wick down to 49.5. And that actually, those trend precognition signals actually came in a few days before the MACD has started to indicate that this momentum shift is happening. But you also see that we have a bit of a death cross here between the 21-day and the 100-day, and the 50-day and the 200-day seem to be on a trajectory to do the same. If we could get a rapid rise up here and fill this gap, that would go a long way towards maybe unwinding this and preventing this from happening. Look at where that gap would be, by the way. If we did get up to that 60,845, that gets us right up here to resistance at the 200-day moving average, which looks like it's about $1,000 higher than that. So I'm looking for this to be strong resistance. Even if we feel that gap today, I would be concerned, or I am concerned, that we might see a rejection because we do have higher concentrations of liquidity up here. Not a huge amount. Again, this is only 11 million here on Binance at the 60K level. But if we can clear that, you got a lot of voids or thin liquidity areas that price could move through very quickly and reclaim that level. So that's kind of what I'm going to be watching here. A rejection. Can you imagine that we fill most of this gap but don't get all the way, and we get a rejection from, say, 59 or 60K? That will be tough for bulls to handle. So that's really what's developing in the order book, and a positive sign for bulls here is that purple whales are buying here at this point. I'll zoom out a bit for you, and you can see. I like to give you perspectives from all sides here, right? I try to be as neutral as I can, and show you scenarios in both directions. And one thing that I don't love is that this block of bid liquidity that was at 40K has shifted down to 38. Potentially opening, showing us that we've got some sentiment to that, and it does extend down almost to 30K. I don't see a lot of sentiment for that at the moment, but nothing impacts price like sentiment. So at the moment, heavier concentration of ask liquidity, aka resistance, right here up to about 58.5-ish. And that's our heavy spot right now. Way up here, obviously deep liquidity here above 70K. There's over 250 million up here. I'm just taking this level by level at this point. We got to cross this, and then we can deal with this. And if we can do that, then this will come into focus. But at the moment, the challenge here is for bulls to close the CME gap and sustain that move, right? Can we build some momentum and get up there? That remains to be seen. Market is opening very, very shortly. Hey, Wakas, good to see you again, my friend. That is opening very, very shortly. So I'm expecting to see some volatility, and hopefully it goes up. Also moved into deep corrections here after the weekly close. So hopefully you took advantage of some opportunities and are seeing those things appreciate. I would just say be cautious of what's happening up here. If we get a rejection, you don't want to be greedy, and you don't want to give it all back. So keep that in mind. It's pretty easy to cut through this and go back down to 50K just based on the lack of liquidity here in the near range. Zooming in one more time to the lower time frame. My eyes are on purple whales here. There's enough liquidity. Yesterday it was difficult for them to really buy heavy in a lot of areas where liquidity was thin. Now that we have at least some pockets of liquidity here that they can buy into, purple whales and brown whales can indeed buy into this. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. TradFi opens in about 40 minutes. The ETF faucet will turn on at that time as well. And with a little bit of luck, we'll see things continue to move upward here. Let me just take a peek at my notes and see if there's anything else I wanted to touch on. Um, in terms of going lower, and I always like to show you those scenarios. There's potential for if this rejection happens up here, there's potential to go back down to the 50K range. Obviously, there's potential for things to break down even further, right? Um, a a correction down to this 45K level, which is something I had called for a long time. We finally got a retest of support here at the 50K level, this 50 to 52K, consolidation range. And, we never got it here to the 40 to 45K, and we never got it here to the 25, 30K. That's why some people are calling for a potential retest of these levels. For me, I want to see things stay above this trend line. This trend line happens, stems from the FTX crash back in 2022. Let me clear out the trend precognition and make this a little cleaner for you. Right. So this trend line, for me, as long as this stays intact, and this would be just a tremendous buying opportunity if we got there. And look at the confluence between this and this prior consolidation range. So that is a legit target, in my opinion. So I do have a little bit of powder saved for that, just in case, in the eventuality that we head there. But at the moment, all the drama happening here as we head towards the CME gap and potentially run into some resistance here at the 200-day moving average, if not even before that, right? Even up at this 58K, we see heavier resistance, and certainly as we get towards 60K, we've got deeper concentrations of liquidity that could come into play. Going to wrap it right there, guys. If you like the analysis or you're interested in the tools, you can. I've got a link in the profile. I've got a link in the description, rather, that you can click on to get to the tools like fire charts and trend precognition. And if you like the streams, do me a favor, smash all the buttons, share a comment. I love the comments, and I engage in each and every one of them. And hey, do us all a favor and share this thing. If you help me grow this channel, I can continue to keep cranking these things out for free for you. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Hope you learned something through this volatility and managed to navigate through it without getting wrecked. A lot of people were liquidated earlier in the week, and I hope that you weren't one of them. Have a fantastic day, and as always, trade safe, my friends.